we're looking at a situation out in the Golden State there.
Which seems absurd to me, but it's hilarious.
Is this real? Yeah.
It is real.
Okay.
They are saying California is banning the sale of gas cars.
Now, I guess it's not a huge surprise, and for many years we've seen what looks to a lot of us in the country like insane sort of. A lot of times it's environmentalism based, but to a lot of people it just seems insane, like leftist steps, and this would have to be
really the most ineffectual. Policies and oversight that you could possibly see in any state, and it's California.
And it's hard to imagine. I mean, people will make the case, but it's hard to imagine not viewing this as overreach.
Well, overreach. But I've heard a lot of people, putting out their 2 cents, and I've heard some good points. Now. Okay. Well, let's read through this a bit first. California is expected to vote on Thursday to ban the sale of new gasoline-powered cars by 2035. The climate crisis is solvable if we focus on big, bold steps necessary to stem the tide of carbon pollution. Now, Gavin Newsom, I would urge you to read one peer-reviewed paper on climate change to find out that isn't what anyone is actually saying when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it.
And I as well, sir.
Yeah, and Vini as well. Yeah. The landmark move toward electric vehicles would be phased in over several years, with the target of 35% of new vehicles that don't emit fossil fuels being set for 2026, a target of 51% by 2028, 68% for 2030, and finally a target of no poor people being able to drive in 2035. Because that's what's going to happen.
Well, is the idea
the people wait, the people that say that they're out for poor people at all turns and in all of their rhetoric put policies in like this where nobody can afford electric vehicles, you fucks.
I'm sure they'll say that by then that will change.
Yeah, but they don't know that. It's an idiotic...
Nobody knows
But if
that.
you vote to ban them, there's not a choice anymore. If that doesn't happen, now you're just affecting the people that can't afford what you just... place the law in your state to mandate. It makes no fucking sense.
It does make me wonder. In the past few years, we've seen some of those articles. I just thought of this now about a lot of people, major holders in oil companies, selling their interests and stuff like that. You remember that? We've looked at that shit, and it's like some of the insider network has their confidence has been shaken in the oil industry. It seems like, I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't think that it would be too bad unless you're relying only on U.S. sold oil, because the rest of the world, the developing world, runs on, if they can fucking get it, gas and fossil fuels.
Yeah,
much of it. I want to say there's 80 million. I won't even say the number, but
what's weird? Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What was the thing that led me to think of that was, if you invent a engine that runs on water, you will be murdered by a heart attack ice gun in 10 minutes. Okay. But this electric car industry is kind of moving along at a rate that a lot of things have never... I mean, basically, if you have ever gone against the oil industry historically, it's been bad news.
You're just kind of taken out at the knees.
What I mean is this has to be part of the plan.
Yeah? Could this be? I mean, it is, but this... Another stupid thing that has been pointed out over and over is electric cars still charge on coal-generated electricity. So you're not doing anything. You're just putting a middleman in there, so you're making them not emit fuel from the car.
There's all kinds of things like that.
But you're upping the need for coal, which is worse than gas. So it doesn't make any fucking sense to anyone that's actually looking. But again, it's just one of these platitudes to sound virtuous and progressive and
it's the
whatever
same way,
it is.
People will make the cases that vegetarian
that's another
diets cause more overall pollution
and death and ravage the earth.
There's just no way out of the fact that we're sent here by the Anunnaki to terraform the atmosphere, and that's just our job. And it's just going to happen one way or another, or we're going to go extinct.
Yeah, all right.
And that's the way they want it.
You are on with Tom and Vinny. What's up?
Hi. It's General Andrea.
Oh, hello, General.
Oh, nice to hear from you. What a rare treat.
Hello. So I've got two things about this.
No? Okay.
We don't.
One thing that I think gets overlooked a lot when we talk about electric cars is that emissions from gasoline cars don't really make that big of a difference compared to
volcanoes.
the polluting that giant companies are doing all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you look at those numbers, they're idiotic to even think of cars, to be honest.
And what about the lobbyists behind Big Volcano? Because I've read that that's also a major contributor.
Volcanic emissions of CO2. That's true. We got to get,
And the cattle industry?
Well, that's actually kind of been debunked. But, all right, sorry
I'm actually going to allege that the push to get people on electric cars has more to do with controlling their cars.
Because you can turn them off.
Yeah. And being able to turn them on and off, controlling them remotely, driving them places. I mean, Teslas that can drive themselves can be taken over by whatever and driven somewhere, right?
Sure.
True.
So there is already evidence of this happening.
Really?
In California with one of their power companies. So California is going through a horrible heat wave.
Yes, this is a point that I was going to bring up.
Their grid is being overdone and overblown.
So now they're saying, please don't charge your cars, which is fucking hilarious.
They're saying don't charge your cars. But also there's a power company out there that supplies smart thermostats that have locked themselves so that people can't cool their houses down below 78 degrees.
Nice, dude. Well played, Newsom.
I mean, and that's been, I remember people calling people paranoid many years ago because of the smart meters on homes and saying, like, this just opens us up to all kinds of like intrusion, overreach, and whatever. That's
so, like, as of today, the people who opted into that program are getting a slight discount on their whatever.
But also can't cool their home.
But it just sets the precedent for them to, prove that the technology works and then sell it to the right bidder.
It started with the iPass. Pay your tolls electronically. It's half price.
Yeah.
Right.
Now everybody has a tracking device in their car. Not that your cell phone can't do it anyways. But
True.
What if you didn't want a cell phone and you still wanted to use the highway?
Well, you could still do that.
Of the,
Johnny Pocket Change. Just fucking throwing fistfuls of quarters at fucking meter maids or whatever the hell they're called. Toll booth operators.
Dude, I missed the toll. Yeah, we'll talk about that some other time. But anyways,
now, during this call, I put up a picture of David Box in lieu of your picture.
That's Andrea's husband right there. This is David Box's wife on the phone.
Yeah, everyone needs to know everyone's intricacies
you kind of know
their
me
personal.
Through him.
Yeah, we know it through him. But no, so that I like the idea that you're thinking that way, that that the whole push, because also the restriction of travel. Okay, we talked about Agenda 21 a couple weeks ago, and overall the ruling elite's seeming agenda to restrict our travel. After all, the average person at this point, how often do they go fucking more than 50 miles from their house? Ever. It's kind of difficult, kind of expensive.
Sure.
All kinds of logistics involved. That's why you need to book your next trip. Sorry, I sounded like I was going into a commercial.
No, that was a commercial.
But that's the thing. A lot of this stuff, I tend to look at it as just restriction of travel. And Andrea's right. If they got us all on some sort of smart car grid, boom, done. Nobody's driving. The
completely
snap
controlled
of a finger.
however they want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, right now they are, like we said, they're asking people not to charge their electric cars after saying that they're going to ban non-electric cars in the pretty near future. And that doesn't make any sense to me because, again, the reason that their grid is going down is because they've done away with half of their fucking power supply in this attempt to look as if they're, leading the way to a greener future. But if anyone looks into the real data done by, there's a guy, Dr. Bjorn Lomborg, who's done extensive work on this for the UN and has prioritized and rank ordered the issues facing us. And climate change is pretty far down when you look at it. You hear all this catastrophizing of it and, if we don't do something now, in 10 years we'll be underwater. But we've been hearing that for 40 years.
Yeah.
Well, and also, again, cars are not a major contributor of that.
No, and that's another thing is, cars, it's just an easy thing to get a picture in people's minds where it's like, it's easy to envision, a gridlocked highway of just, and get this idea. And, you get the idea of the dirty snow in the winter, like, these things are disgusting. So I think it's just
that was your idea
as like a visceral, to get a visceral response. Like I say, none of these really seem like they're trying in any sort of earnest way to tackle any problems that they're trying to say that they are, because if they did, the information is out there. If I can find it, clearly they could find it, and they just go about it in these weird virtue signaling, platitude, spewing ways, and it's insane. But we'll see if if
they really wanted to solve the problem, don't have highways and roads, conveyor belts everywhere.
Yes.
That's what you need. Okay.
Yeah. And yes, a series of U.S.
There's a master bicycle at the center of town.
The airport.
Everybody takes a turn riding like the master bicycle, right? That drives all the conveyor belts.
Yeah.
And it's just you got gears and pulleys, and you reduce the
well, this is kind of I think where they're going with this whole sort of agenda. It's just eventually poor people are going to be at the bottom generating power for the elite.
Exactly.
Just a big fucking bunch of hamster wheels that we're all running on trying to get to our phone.
I mean, that's a good metaphor for what they really want is giant metropolitan centers just producing, the proletariat producing the resources and passing it up the chain. Which, okay, is that not kind of already
what we're seeing?
I mean, whatever. There's so many ways that you could see.
I think Andrea's point was that cars are not even that responsible for the uptick in CO2 that we see in the environment to begin with.
And I think it seemed like she had something else. Is that true or no?
No, it was that in the thermostats.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
So I think the whole thing is not really has anything to do with the environment, but it
seems nefarious.
Laying the groundwork for controlling these things.
That makes sense. I like where you're going.
Because there has to be a reason.
General. Well, I like where your head is at as a general. You need to be cognizant of these things and really thinking. And I'd like to point out to the other generals, hey, do something.
Yeah, added 3 stars.
Yeah.
Were you already 3 stars?
All right.
Yeah, no.
Thanks, guys. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye-bye.